Well, good morning, everyone. I am Peter Booker, and today I'll be giving the forecast for Monday, December 22nd. And we'll be looking at the entire week of Christmas and what we can expect in terms of temperatures and also precipitation. Now, I wanted to begin this morning by looking at the trough over the Northeast. We currently have this trough not only over the Northeast, but also the Mid-Atlantic, extending back into the Midwest. But just to the west, we have this large ridge that's positioned over the Great Plains that will begin to move east with time. And still further to the west, we have this very large and powerful trough over the west coast. And with time, this trough will begin to move inland and replace that ridge that we're seeing over the Great Plains in the south. But that's going to probably take a good week for that to happen. Now, looking at the temperatures this morning, again, we see sub-freezing temperatures over the Dakotas, throughout the Midwest, and extending down as far south as North Carolina. Now, these temperatures become much colder as you move into New England. We have some teens over Pennsylvania, even some single digits as we get into northern parts of New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, as well as Maine. Now, I do want to talk about what we're seeing in the South and even in the Great Plains here. We can see these 50s throughout the South, and this includes the state of Oklahoma. Now, this warmer air will begin to move north and east with time, and daytime highs will likely get into the 60s and 70s for much of the South and even the central Great Plains as we move towards midweek. Now, further west still, we can see these 30s and 40s over much of the Intermountain West. Now, as we get into the state of California, we do have some 60s near San Francisco Bay, and even further south, let's say just to the east of San Diego, and especially as you get into southern portions of Arizona. Now, these cooler temperatures we see over the Northeast this morning will begin to moderate. These warmer temperatures, indicated by the yellows and the oranges and the reds, will begin to move north and east with time. We can see temperatures in the 60s and 70s by Christmas Day, as far north as Nebraska and extending eastward into the state of Virginia. We do see temperatures in the 30s and 40s hanging tight over the Intermountain West. Perhaps the coolest temperatures will be over Washington State. Again, we can see the mountain pass is getting quite a bit of snowfall in the coming days there. Now, this is for Monday and Tuesday, the forecast throughout the lower 48. And what you'll notice is that we'll have this rain shower activity developing over the Midwest, especially during the day Tuesday. And this is accompanying that warmer push of air that we're seeing out of the Great Plains, again, as it moves north and east of time, kind of like a warm front, more or less developing over the Midwest. Now, as we move off towards the West Coast, again, heavy rain and heavy snowfall activity over Washington State, extending northward into Vancouver, Canada. This initial push of rain into Washington State will likely see heavy snowfall in the mountain passes of the Cascades, again, likely 6 to 12 inches of snowfall with this initial system moving on shore. Now, further to the south, we can see rainfall over northern California, and with it, we can see this low pressure system beginning to appear on the map here to the west of California. This will be bringing days of heavy rain and heavy snowfall to the state of California, especially by midweek. What I want to do now is show the snowfall over the Northeast as we get into Tuesday. And we can see where snow develops over northeastern Pennsylvania during the day Tuesday and extending north and eastward into the states of New York, as well as Vermont and New Hampshire and even Maine. What we're going to see happen is a developing low pressure system over the Northeast, and that's going to kind of enhance the snowfall, especially near Portland, Maine. At least this is according to the latest model run that we're seeing. And some of these locations could pick up 5 to 10 inches of snowfall. So I do want to kind of break that down now here in the next map. And we can see a general 2 to 4 inches from northern portions of Pennsylvania, extending north and east into the state of Maine. I do want to point out over the Hudson Valley, there's usually some dry slot that sets up here, just with those downsloping winds off of, let's say, the Catskill Mountains. And typically we have drier conditions, so a general 1 to 2 inches of snow perhaps there before Christmas. But we do have areas that are favored. 5 to 10 inches of snowfall could be expected north of the Adirondacks. Another location here is in northern Vermont. And also around Portland, Maine, there could be some enhancement of snowfall off the Atlantic as we get into the day Wednesday. Now, as far as snowfall across the country, we can see basically from North Dakota to the Midwest and the Northeast, we'll probably have fresh snow on the ground in time for Christmas over that entire region. And still over the Intermountain West, let's say we have that incoming system. There's going to be a lot of heavy snow around the passes, not so much in the valley region. And the same thing is true over the states of California and Oregon. What we might find is that the snowfall levels drop low enough where even around 2,000 feet we could see some snowfall just in time for Christmas. And it looks like the big winter here is going to be over southern Canada. We see a lot of snowfall extending from British Columbia all the way to Quebec. So those folks there in Canada probably already have a large snowpack on the ground, but we'll have a fresh blanket of snowfall just in time for Christmas for you guys. Now, as far as the Northwest, we can see rain and snow moving in during the day Monday. Snowfall levels probably dropping to around 2,000 to 2,500 feet. So affecting those mountain passes with about 6 to 12 inches of snowfall, at least for, again, the area around the Cascades. Again, northward into Vancouver and much of British Columbia will be receiving heavy snowfall, feet of snow over the Rockies. Now, to the south, we can see another area of rainfall over Northern California. And this is the beginning of some very heavy rain that will be moving in by Christmas Eve for California. Now, more than likely, we'll see the heaviest of the rainfall associated with this low pressure system moving into California during the day Wednesday, likely starting by mid-morning Wednesday. And it'll be kind of a quick hitter. We'll have very heavy rain for several hours, and we'll probably have some very heavy snowfall over the Sierra Nevada. And still further to the south, we'll get some prolonged heavy rain, let's say from Los Angeles southward into San Diego. And this is kind of a first for the season for you guys. And again, very necessary rainfall for this region. Severe drought's been going on here for a very long time. And it looks like you guys could be seeing anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rain in general. So, as expected, probably some flooding also. But again, much needed rainfall for this region. Now, the system we're seeing over California Tuesday begins to move northward over Oregon and Washington State during the day Wednesday, and with it another round of heavy rain, especially over the western coast of Oregon, and maybe lighter rain extending, let's say, northward into Washington State, and some heavy mountain snowfall over the Cascades. Now, we're not finished for rainfall in California. It looks like we're going to have heavy rain and mountain snow, especially in the Sierra Nevada, through the day Saturday. So this is the reason we're going to see 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, not only around San Francisco Bay, but extending southward into Los Angeles and San Diego. You get several days of moderate to heavy rainfall here. We're talking about feet of snowfall for the Sierra Nevada, and much needed for this region. So let's go ahead and take a look at these accumulations in terms of rainfall. Now, it looks like the big winner along the West Coast is going to be the state of California. Some of these locations in the high country of California will likely see greater than 6 inches of liquid equivalent of rainfall here. So, a lot of heavy rain moving on shore with this second system. And we can see through much of the state of California a general 1 to 2 inches of rainfall along the West Coast. Again, this is even possible for Los Angeles and extending southward in San Diego. So not just the high country here, but the Sierra Nevada will likely see several feet of snow from this event. Again, kind of our first for the season here, right? In terms of all this heavy rain and heavy snowfall. And still further to the north over Oregon, lesser amounts, general 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of rainfall along the west coast here of Oregon. And the same thing is true for much of the state of Washington. In higher amounts over the Cascades and the coastal mountains, closer to an inch of liquid equivalent there. But more than likely, this will be in terms of snowfall, so probably 6 to 12 inches of snowfall, especially in the mountain passes there of the Cascades. So I do want to look at the daytime high temperatures for Christmas Day. And we see this general area of very warm weather extending northward into, let's say, the state of South Dakota. Again, daytime highs in the 60s, that far north here in the Great Plains. And this area of warmth extends eastward through the Midwest, and again, portions of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, and as far east as Virginia. You can see temperatures in the 60s there for Christmas Day. And then we get into the 70s, let's say over Texas and extending eastward into Georgia, and of course southward into Florida as well. But these very anomalously warm temperatures, again, 20, 30 degrees above average in some cases here. So I think many of us will be enjoying it for the early part of December. Again, a lot of the mid-Atlantic had heavy snowfall. So now we're seeing warm temperatures take its place. And some snow that we're seeing over the Northeast early in the week will likely be melting. We can see temperatures in the 40s over New York State, extending into Maine here. So, and still further to the west, let's say over the Intermountain West, in temperatures in the 30s and 40s in many places. Some of the coldest air in the country is going to be over Washington State and also North Dakota at this time. Now, as we look at the larger map here, again, we can see the heavy rainfall over California during the days Thursday and Friday. But we can also see the developing low pressure system over the Great Plains. And this will actually be the next system that delivers snowfall over the Northeast. Again, we can kind of see here some mixed precipitation over North Dakota as we get late in the day Christmas, and especially as we get into Friday, it looks like over North Dakota. Some of these scattered showers could be occurring to Christmas over the Midwest, again, as that warm air comes up from the south, kind of associated with a warm front here, extending from the Great Lakes into Pennsylvania. Many of you might have the question, how long is this warm air going to be in place over the U.S.? And the answer, unfortunately, is not too long. All indications are by the 27th of December, we're going to start to see cold air associated with this trough of the west begin to spill over the Rockies and extend into the southeast as we head towards the end of this month. And it will likely dive further to the south this time, kind of like what we saw earlier this month, due to a blocking feature downstream. You might ask, okay, what is this blocking feature I'm referring to? So as you move off to the east, right, especially north and east, and this is the 500 millibar heights in the middle troposphere. And with it, we see these warmer temperatures extending into Greenland. This is due to ridging off of the North Atlantic. And this will kind of allow for colder temperatures to move out of Canada southward, not only during the end of the month of December, but likely into early part of January. And it's hard to tell how long this pattern is going to last, but again, we could see a couple of weeks of cold temperatures, kind of like what we saw during early December. Likely this will be dependent on how long this Greenland block is in place. And for now, again, this is a week out, right? This Greenland block setting up. It's hard to tell if it's going to stay in place for an extended period of time. All right, so we'll leave it at that today. Again, we have warmer temperatures on the way just in time for Christmas for many of you guys throughout the heart of the country. But before then, we have a shot of cold air and some snow right over the Northeast, several inches right from New York State to Maine, just in time for Christmas. So you guys having a white Christmas this year. And then over the West Coast, we have a lot of heavy rainfall, right? Moving into California. Beneficial rain for many of you guys. And then after that, it looks like we have more cold air moving in just in time for the end of December and maybe lasting for a couple of weeks there, right? Because of this blocking feature off to the east. But we'll look into that probably more next time, right? And until then, have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year.